Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to take a look at how you can safely increase your spending in retirement without depleting your retirement savings using the ratcheting rule. It was proposed by Michael Kitces, an influential chartered financial planner, as a method to maximize spending while protecting against sequence of returns risk. We will also briefly compare this to other popular dynamic withdrawal strategies to see how this stacks up and look at what else you can do if you want more peace of mind, especially if you retire into a down market. And I'll wrap up with my personal take on ratcheting. If you find this video helpful, show your appreciation by hitting the like button. Subscribing takes just a second, so don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications for future content on investing for financial freedom. Your support brings together a community of like-minded viewers and helps our channel grow. First, let's look at sequence of returns risk, or simply sequence risk. This refers to the order of investment returns in early retirement, not just average returns over time. This sequence can disproportionately deplete portfolios through reverse compounding effects. Let's walk through an example. Retiree A experiences poor market returns in her first 5 years of retirement, forcing her to sell more equities at lower prices to maintain spending. Retiree B has the opposite sequencing. Even though their 30-year averages end up identical, retiree A has far fewer assets remaining due to the impact of early losses. This leads us to dynamic withdrawal strategies that adjust spending to market conditions, like Bengen's floor ceiling and Guyton-Klinger's guardrails. The general principle involves preset rules dictating when and how to increase or decrease spending. A word of caution: both approaches reduce spending in tough years, which some retirees may find unpalatable. They also require complex calculations to determine the next course of action, particularly Guyton-Klinger's guardrails, which some may find challenging to set up and manage. This brings us to the ratcheting rule, originally proposed by Michael Kitces in 2015. It aims to balance portfolio preservation with maintaining stability in spending. This rule shares the basic framework of constant inflation-adjusted spending, like the 4% rule, while allowing spending to increase if the portfolio performs well. The key feature of this rule is that spending is increased by 10% when the portfolio rises more than 50% above its starting value. Here are the key elements of the ratcheting rule. A performance threshold of portfolio returns exceeding 50% of the starting portfolio value, to trigger ratcheting. For a retiree starting with £1 million, the threshold is £1.5 million. A ratcheting rate for spending increases of 10% above the prior year's level at each trigger. However, there is a firebreak period of 3 years before another ratchet increase can occur. This approach allows spending to smoothly increase while avoiding mandated cuts during downturns. This ensures that spending isn't ratcheted up until a portfolio is so far ahead that even if the market pulls back, you won't have to cut your spending. So the ratcheting rule enables you to increase spending while balancing two opposing forces, ensuring you don't run out of money in a 30-year retirement horizon while allowing you to spend more in your lifetime than the 4% rule. Now that we've covered the ratcheting rule mechanics, let's examine how it contrasts with two other dynamic withdrawal strategies, Bengen's floor ceiling and Guyton-Klinger's guardrails. First, simplicity. Ratcheting has an intuitive set of guidelines, while the Bengen floor ceiling and particularly the Guyton-Klinger guardrails are complex. Second, longevity. Rules-based methods may have better portfolio longevity. Ratcheting has shorter projected durability but is feasible for 30-year retirements. Third, stability. Ratcheting allows reactive increases without cuts, which is very appealing to some. Rules-based approaches mandate cuts in down markets, which has its advantages. That is, ratcheting focuses on spending stability. The other strategies provide conservative longevity protection by allowing for cuts in expenses following bad years. While it sounds appealing, ratcheting isn't without its issues. First, ratcheting up spending means it isn't aligned with the retirement smile spending pattern, since the rule starts spending low and increases it throughout retirement. The retirement smile refers to a trend where retirees spend more during the early and late stages of retirement, and less during the middle stage. The ratcheting rule could potentially result in higher spending during the later stages of retirement, specifically during the slow-go years, when you typically spend less. This could lead to underspending in the early go-go years when you are fit and active. It could also lead to overspending in the slow-go years, with less for the no-go years, which may be crucial for healthcare expenses. Second, let's turn to sequence of returns risk. ratcheting does not directly address the sequence risk if retiring in a prolonged bear market. It does so implicitly by relying on the 4% rule within a 30-year retirement horizon. More protection may be needed in initial years using other strategies that we will discuss shortly. The flip side of this, the ratcheting rule might not be suitable for those who are more risk-averse or those planning a longer retirement. Third, ratcheting requires very strong portfolio growth of 50% to ratchet up spending. This may be challenging or even unrealistic to achieve, especially in a low-return environment or those with conservative investment strategies or smaller nest eggs. In these cases, ratcheting reverts to the simple 4% rule and does not provide any benefits. More incremental triggers at say 25% growth, with a smaller increase in spending, may be feasible while still being effective. Finally, the rule has only been tested in simulations for a 30-year retirement. Its effectiveness over different time horizons is not well established. You may want to conduct long-term Monte Carlo simulations and cash flow projections to mitigate longevity risk. Now that we have looked at the challenges that come with ratcheting, it's worth noting that you can layer approaches on top of ratcheting to mitigate these, and enhance overall longevity and stability. First and most important, maintaining cash reserves by holding 2 to 3 years of living expenses in cash. This provides a buffer to cover withdrawals without selling investments during market downturns. The trade-off is cash drag can lead to underperformance compared to growth-oriented assets over the long run. Second, creating a discretionary spending tier by categorizing expenses as essential versus discretionary can provide more flexibility. Essential costs like food, utilities, housing are prioritized. But discretionary spending on travel, dining out and hobbies can be reduced in lean times without impacting livelihood. Setting up a two-tiered budget allows you to tighten or loosen the discretionary belt accordingly, and reduce spending during down markets. Third, implementing a bucket strategy to structure investments into buckets for near-term, mid-term and long-term use can complement withdrawal methods. Rebalancing between buckets over time manages volatility. Also consider the simplified bucket strategy that I discussed in another video if you like the psychological and strategic benefits of buckets without the complexity. Fourth, many retirees pursue side hustles or part-time work for fulfillment and extra income. Consulting and freelancing can provide a buffer if markets underperform, especially in the early phase of retirement. Phased retirement transitioning to less intense or passion-driven work may appeal too. Additionally, for retirees who own properties, rental income serves a similar purpose in providing an extra financial boost. Finally, you could utilize annuities to generate guaranteed lifetime income or over a fixed period at the start of your retirement to cover fixed essential costs. Although it doesn't offer a complete solution, having a guaranteed baseline amount through an annuity provides more flexibility to take risks and spend from portfolios. However, the certainty and peace of mind that annuities bring does come at a price, like fees, limited access to your money, and inflation eating into your payouts. Okay, time to wrap up with my personal take on the ratcheting rule. First, the highlights. What truly sets it apart is its refusal to reduce spending, unlike other popular dynamic strategies. This uniqueness is notable as is its sheer simplicity. Plus, in simulations, it convincingly supports a 30-year retirement with surplus funds left over. Another noteworthy aspect is what I term the firebreak period, halting spending increases for a 3-year span, offering the portfolio a chance to recover. It's intuitive and sensible. Now, onto the drawbacks. Despite thorough simulations, my concerns revolve around two aspects: its limitation to a 30-year retirement horizon and its unwavering stance on spending cuts, even in prolonged and severe bear markets. Which brings us to sequence of returns risk. It doesn't address this but relies on the 4% rule. The requirement for a 50% portfolio value increase seems quite steep. Which brings me to my personal take. Would I adopt this as it stands? No, I wouldn't on its own. Here's why. First, I'd adjust a few elements, like lowering the performance threshold and the rate of spending increase. I'd consider more conservative rates, say a 30% threshold and a 5% increase. Second, I'd supplement the ratcheting rule with other strategies for both psychological comfort and sound practice. Strategies like maintaining 2 to 3 year cash reserves and distinguishing core versus discretionary spending are essential. Third, For those inclined towards bucket strategies, I suggest exploring the simplified bucket strategy I discuss in another video, a straightforward 6-year, 2-bucket strategy designed to offer peace of mind without unnecessary complexity. I appreciate you joining me for this discussion on the Kitces Ratcheting Rule, some of its challenges and options to mitigate these. As you evaluate options, consider your priorities in terms of longevity, flexibility, simplicity and stability. If you found this helpful and would like to see more content on financial freedom, please show your support by subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. It will really help a new channel like this to reach more like-minded viewers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.